Hello everyone, my name is David Thurman, and this is a presentation about equal pay from a Management 325-5601 class for Professor Joseph McKay. So let's get started on why equal pay matters. Before I say anything else, I just want to say that the definition and the principle of equal pay is that everyone should receive the same compensation for performing work of equal value, regardless of the individual's gender, race, socioeconomic status, or any other personal characteristics. This is very important in America, especially because we promote ourselves as the land of the free, and if we're going to be free, we should promote equality regardless of these characteristics. We've seen in America and many other different countries in the world that there has been some historical progress being made to this point, but it has not reached an equal status. So it matters because we want to promote and ensure fair compensation. And secondly, this could be very huge for economic growth, not only in America, but the entire global world. So furthermore, on this economic impact, the economic impact is the biggest thing regarding the pay gap. If there was equal pay, it's expected to boost the global GDP by $12 trillion. $12 trillion is a huge number and not anything to scoff at. However, there may be questions regarding how would an equal pay increase the global GDP by $12 trillion. Well, the trickle-down effect from the pay gap is how this happens. Firstly, it reduces women's purchasing powers. This affects businesses the most. Since women don't have the same purchasing power, they aren't able to spend money on businesses, so businesses are losing out on money. Also, in regards to tax contributions, this affects mainly governments. Since women don't make as much, they're not paying as much in taxes. This results in governments having to spend more to have their own projects, such as roads and things like that, where if they had equal pay and had to pay more taxes, government could save money and not to spend as much on projects that affect their country. Speaking of women, this impacts families a lot too, especially single mother households. It has been seen that in single mother households, there's increased poverty and a lack of opportunities for their children. This can be seen for many other reasons, mainly a lack of education. Single mother households aren't able to spend money for their children's education as much, which kind of forces them to be stuck in a poverty loophole, which could easily be getting out of if there wasn't equal pay. Moving on, let's talk about some of the factors that contribute to the pay gap. Firstly, there's occupational segregation. This is because men dominate many higher paying jobs like engineering, finance, or tech, while women are concentrated into many lower paying jobs such as caregiving and teaching. Some believe that this makes sense because jobs like engineering, finance, and tech are more important or more skillful, but other people also see this as that women are kind of forced and funneled into this role from a young age, whether it is through schooling or through cultural norms. Another thing that is a factor are biases that result in lower pay and discrimination despite equal qualifications. This can easily be highlighted through that women make 84 cents to every dollar a man make for jobs that are of equal responsibility with equal qualifications, which really makes no sense when you think about it. Another reason are that jobs dominated by women are mainly underpaid. I talked about earlier how women are concentrated into lower paying jobs like caregiving and teaching, but I would argue that those jobs like caregiving and teaching shouldn't be underpaid. Those jobs are really a stepping stone to the future of the world. Teaching especially, you're really helping force the next generation, whether it be of scientists or doctors, whoever it might be, but education is so important. Lastly, career interruptions are a huge thing. These are mainly due to family needs, but mostly are directed towards women, whether it be because of childbirth, pregnancy, child care or caregiving, especially pregnancies. These force women to take career breaks or work part-time, and these really are detrimental to promotions and things like that, which really limits women's ability to promote themselves in a job world. So let's move on to some of the legal framework for equal pay. In America specifically, there's been two major acts: the Equal Pay Act of 1963 and the Title VII of the Civil Rights Acts of 1964. The Equal Pay Act of 1963 required that employers must pay equally for equal work. Although this is an act, it is not enforced very well. The Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 is put in place to prohibit pay discrimination based on race, gender, and anything else. Again, not enforced very well. Moving on from just America, there's been global efforts as well to try to achieve equal pay, mainly through the EPIC, the Equal Pay International Coalition. It's been trying to achieve equal pay, and it's had help through the United Nations, the International Labor Organization, and the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. They have seen strides globally in this, especially in Iceland, where they have already seen a development and implementation of innovative measures such as mandatory pay audits that have helped close the wage gap. So, as I said, there are many legal frameworks put in place to enforce equal pay, but there are still many challenges in achieving this. Firstly, the biggest one, a lack of pay transparency. This is preventing employers and employees especially from identifying that there are pay disparities. This is because that organizations and businesses do not disclose salary information, so employees that are underpaid can't compare to other employees to realize that they actually are underpaid. Another way is that businesses are finding loopholes to avoid lawful discrimination. They are doing this through books and managers, and it's really hard for organizations to really crack down on it if they're finding loopholes to avoid it. Lastly, and probably the hardest thing that they can crack down on, are there's many biases and discrimination in hiring, promotions, and evaluations. It's been seen that many businesses and organizations are choosing to promote and hire mainly white males instead of hiring for other ethnicities or other gender, which are detrimental to closing the equal pay gap. So now that we've talked about some of the challenges in achieving equal pay, let's talk about some solutions to actually achieve this. Firstly, we can mandate pay transparency. This would really help so that employees can know if they are being underpaid compared to people in their same field or coworkers even. Another way is family-friendly work policies. This is something that is a big challenge because of a lack of affordable childcare. This results in someone in the family having to stay home and watch over kids. But if companies and businesses could throw in childcare as something similar to dentists or doctor visits, or even allow for areas for children to stay while their parents were at work. Another way that you could solve this would be through education. Many people don't understand that they are being underpaid. So educating people from a young age to understand their own value would help to result in equal pay. Another way would be through legal enforcement. If governments and organizations were really enforcing and cracking down on this, this would force businesses to have to achieve equal pay if there were legal repercussions that occurred if they didn't. Lastly, if more businesses had women in leadership, this would result in a lack of bias because many people want to hire people that are similar to them, whether it be male to male, white to white, whatever it might be. If you had women in leadership, this would allow them not to be biased to want to promote more men in the field and allow for more equality in men and women. Some of the benefits that could arise because of equal pay would be strengthening economies and reducing poverty. We talked about this in the presentation, but equal pay would result in 12 trillion increase in the global GDP and help bring many families out of poverty and reduce poverty in general. Another reason would to promote fairness and gender/racial equality. Many people, especially in America, believe in equal rights and freedom, and this would be a way to actually achieve this. Lastly, this would help build societies and countries that will value contributions over characteristics. This is something that makes sense in theory, but is not a thing that is an actual realization. We should value people because of what they provide to society rather than what they look like or who they are. In conclusion, equal pay is necessary and essential for fairness and economic growth. Governments, businesses, and individuals are all needed to contribute to this cause and help to promote progress. With this help, equality can be more than just an aspiration, but a reality for everyone. Here are my references for this presentation. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.